Just My Thoughts. I'm your host, Khaleel Ward. And on this episode, I'll be talking about Hero Mask. It's a Netflix anime, and there are two parts. I don't know why I didn't do just a review on part one, but I'm going to combine both parts. So, part one is about 15 episodes, and part two is 9 episodes. Part one is more an introduction to everything that's going on in this world, to the characters and these masks and what they do. Part two is a shorter story focused on a particular character, and it's focused on where the masks come from. So the story, the main character is James Blood. He works for the SSC, which is like the cops. A prosecutor wants the SSC to protect this key witness. Eventually, she's killed, and they don't know how she's killed. So there's an investigation into that, and then her colleague brings the case to the SSC, and they start piecing together things. So James Blood is like going a bunch of different places trying to figure out what's going on, who killed Monica, why did they kill her, what does this witness have to say, and it all focuses around these masks, and the masks are worn by all types of people. Most of them are presumed dead because they're basically experimented on. And so the first person you see with a mask, he comes in and James recognizes him, but he's like, "You're dead," and he has like superhuman abilities like strength, speed, endurance, and he can get shot and heal back. Like his body heals itself and everything like that. So it just throws everybody off when that guy comes in with the mask, and everybody's like, what's making him this way? And they figure out it's this mask. So they investigate not only what happened to Monica, but where these masks coming from, who made them, how did you get how did they get a hold of them? So it's a slow burn in terms of just getting into it. It's not a bunch of action all the time, even though James Blood does gets into a lot of fights, a lot of hand to hand combat, some shooting, but it's not like over the top type fights like most anime shows are. You meet another character named Harry. He's kind of like James in a way, but he works for the bad guys. He was once an SSC officer, but he works for this corporation called Live Corporation, and they're like the evil corporation in this show, for this season. And he's really good. He's like an assassin, like he's taken it to another level in terms of being just an officer. Like he's really deadly, and he hunts down people for the Live Corporation, trying to get certain masks for them, and things like that. So they run across a few people in trying to understand what the masks do. You see people use them, but the side effects of the mask is it ages you rapidly and eventually kills you. So you can put on the mask, you can look like you're in your 30s, and you can use the powers and everything like that, and then the next thing you know, you're an old person and you're getting ready to die. And that does happen to a particular person, when they encounter them again and they have the mask, and then all of a sudden they just old and dying. And season one takes a lot of twists and turns and introduces you to a lot of characters, a lot of people in season one that you follow. So it's you have to pay attention, to every little detail, because you know even though James is doing one thing, then he has somebody else doing another thing. Like Eddie is the tech guy for the SSC, and he's following another lead. So, and then another person's following another lead, and then they all basically meet back up and figure out what's going on. And the ending is pretty cool. Part two, it does pick up. It does pick up where part one ended, and instead of having so many characters, it focuses on like this family, particularly this girl. I believe at the end of part one, she survives a bus accident. Everybody else dies and she survives, and you see her heal. So you already know like the mask is involved, but she doesn't know how she healed. And part two really explores like her background and everything that happened, and exactly where the masks come from, who created the mask, and what was the purpose of them. And I think part one is longer, more action oriented. Part two is more story based. Still a little action, but it's more story based, trying to figure out everything about this girl and everything about the mask. So it's a good watch. It's good to watch both, back to back. They're only like 20 something minutes, and they usually end on cliffhangers. Like every episode it ends on a cliffhanger, so you want to watch the other one. But it's a more story focused anime and not like a bunch of action, a bunch of fighting. So if you like those type of shows, I suggest you check out Hero Mask. I enjoyed the first two parts, and it's definitely going to be a part three. But if you watched Hero Mask, let me know what you thought about it, and thank you for listening. Deuces.